Hey guys, this is Slifer Maniac. Now, as you guys might see and then realize after that, immediately after that, we will gonna be doing the character deck profile of Joey Wheeler and the Battle City arc. Joey Wheeler is, of course, one of the main characters, not only in this arc but on all whole of the Duel Monsters era, and of course, second none to other than Yugi Muto. And yeah, which means of course that he has always also a very good deck which develops itself. It's not good from the start, but in the Duelist Kingdom he was second. No, second. He was not second. He was yeah, he was second. Sorry, second place in the Duelist Kingdom. Um, because he of course lost his fight against his duel against Yugi. And then he of course tried to improve his deck into the Battle City because the opponents of course also have better cards, monster likewise than and spell and traps of course as well. Yeah, and Joey Wheeler tries to keep up with the deck quality of Yugi and of all his other rivals like Kaiba, etc. First of all, he doesn't really got into the tournament, but then yeah, the uh, rare hunters were after him, and then one of the rare hunters who infiltrated the Seto Kaiba company, or at least the Battle City company, who was representing the Battle City and was giving permission for the players to take part into the tournament. Was after his Red Eyes Black Dragon, which he then lost, of course, after a short duel against the rare hunter, which is called Seeker. So, and to kick it off and begin with, Red Eyes Black Dragon was, as a matter of fact, in the Battle City era in his deck. He lost it. Then Yugi Muto, Yugi and Atom did win it back for him, and then he gave it to Yugi and Atom for his challenge uh, to save the world, because he had the feeling not only that he doesn't deserve it anymore, but he might need it in order to save the world against Yami and his dark rare hunter forces. Now that's Black Dragon, of course, 7 stars, a dark attribute, 2400 attack, 2000 defense, a very iconic card until this day. Of course, a vanilla card, but still, it's very iconic. And attached to Joey Wheeler, which originally was not his card, but a card which he won into the Duelist Kingdom arc against none other than Rex Raptor. Then, Guilford the Lightning, which, of course, if you just take this sheer attack stats with 2800, uh, is his strongest monster, possibly, or as a matter of fact, is his strongest monster. And it has the effect if you tribute 3 monsters instead of 2, with 8 stars, of course, and 7 stars to Black Dragon, but light type monster and warrior. Light attribute and water area type, 1400 defense only, so it has a very weak defense stats, but it's a good attack mode monster. You could, if you tribute 3 cards, like I said, then you can. It has the effect and ability to destroy all monsters in an instant of the opponent. So it's a very practical, unique effect which it has. Of course, Jinzo, a very iconic card, one of my favorite cards of all time. Earlier in the earlier days, back in the days, 20 years ago, it was my absolute favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster card. Now I would say, yeah, with Slifer, still it is. And Vampire Lord, of course. These 3 are absolute my favorite monsters. If you cast aside all those fusion monsters and stuff, which I will count. I'm not counting in the list. I have an extra list in my mind. Yeah, of course, it has the ability with 6 stars, 2400 attack, 1500 defense, a machine type monster with dark attribute. It has the ability to block and negate all trap cards. And the anime, it had even the effect to destroy all trap cards which we are face down on the field. And he gained this card by winning the duel against Asparoba. Then Insect Queen, which of course is a very iconic card and great symbol of symbolism for the Weevil Underwood deck. Weevil Underwood, of course, had this card, and it was his most iconic boss monster, as well Jinzo is Asparobas, with 7 stars, only 2200 attack, but 2400 defense and insect type with earth attribute. It's a very cool card as well, at least from the artwork. Its effect, it's not that bad, because every time it attacks you have to tribute monsters. This downside, but its upside is like that. Working like that, you have to you can then special summon always an insect monster token, 100 attack, 100 defense, I think earth type even, yeah, things like that. And yeah, then you can maybe in the next battle phase of yourself then tribute one of those and then attack. Yeah, this card, of course, a boss monster as from Weevil Underwood, and he also won it from this guy. Then Legendary Fisher, which also was one of my favorites back in the day. Now, if you look at the artwork on that one, you might see very clearly that it looks a little bit like Mako Tsunami, which of course was one of his boss monsters, not the only one, because you also have the Fortress Whale on that. And with it has water, it is in water attribute 5 stars and warrior type monster, which fits very good into the theme of the deck of Joey Wheeler, since there are very many warrior type monsters. 1850 attack and 1600 defense. But guys, you have to see, if you combine this one with Legendary Ocean, for example, then you can normal summon just like that, because Legendary Ocean has the ability to downgrade all water type monsters in both hands by 1 star, and then you have Legendary Fisherman then gets 1 star fewer, which means of course 5 1 minus 1 makes 4, and you can then normal summon it just like that. Now these were all the boss monsters with tributes. Then of course I put in there, because Flame Swordsman is a fusion monster, which I also have, but he just played it out like that, and we don't have the fusion material on that in this deck. So I put one of the cards which is recently came out in the Maze of Millennia was Flaming Fight Swordsman, but of course the original stats and the attribute of fire 4 stars. This one also has an attack. If this card is normal special summon, you can take 1 spell or trap card which names Flame Swordsman on it from your deck to your hand, and if this card is brought onto the graveyard, you can take 1 Flame Swordsman monster or 1 that names him from your deck, extra deck, to the graveyard, except this one, and then you can yeah, this is once per turn effect, of course. I love this card, and I think this is the most significant Joey Wheeler card, or at least the very one you can take as a representation for Joey Wheeler at most, because the others he won from other opponents like Rex Raptor, Asparoba, like I said, Weevil Underwood, and Mako Tsunami. This one is also, but this one was coming later in the Battle City arc. This one he had already in the Duel Monsters arc. Then Further on, Little Wingard, which 4 stars, 1400 attack, 1800 defense, not too bad defense stats. And a wind type monster, of course. And of course, you can, it has an effect of once per turn, you can, during the end phase, change the battle position of this monster. So if it's attacks, you can put it onto the defense position, and you have also good defensive measure then against your opponent. Hayabusa Knight, I think a card which he played out against, maybe against Yami-Marik or Ozion Ishtar. I'm not that sure which one of those. Might have been one of those, but I'm not 100% certain. Jinzo, of course, also came very handy against both opponents. And Zack Queen wasn't that useful. Legendary Fisherman also not. Whereas Black Dragon was against the controlled soul from Joey Wheeler, controlled by none other than Marik. And then Yugi and Atom, but Yugi played it out against him and brought back his controlled conscience from the realm of the shadows, or partly due to the magic from the Millennium Stick of Marik. Then it wasn't Yami-Marik still, but he was under the influence of this bad side, you might say. Then, of course, Alligator Sword, Vanilla 4 stars, Earth attribute, and a Beast type monster, 1500 attack and 1200 defense. X Tiger, 1300 attack, 1100 defense, Earth type 4 stars, and of course, Beast Warrior type monster. As well as X Raider is a Warrior type monster, 4 stars, Earth type, pretty Earth type, 1700 attack, 1500 defense. And you can build a bit of space for all the other monsters that are coming, because this is one of the Joey Wheeler, or in general, decks that you don't need that many monsters to add, because he played out himself many of them, and I didn't have to make something up for it. Of course, Baby Dragon, very iconic in combination with Time Wizard. 3 stars, Wind type, 1200 attack, 700 defense. Dragon type, of course, and Time Wizard, very iconic trump card from him. 2 stars, light type monsters when spellcaster, light attribute and spellcaster type. 500 attack and 400 defense, but of course with the mighty trump effect that you can toss a coin, and if you call it right, then the opponent loses all his monsters, and I think the half of the life points. No, if you call it right, all your opponent's monsters are destroyed, but if you call it wrong, then your monsters are destroyed instead, and you lose half of the life points of all, summed up all attack stats of your monsters, all in all, together. Just a half, not entirely all. Then, Swordsman of Landstar, a card which he always brought up in the combination, of course, with Graceful Dice and Scuffle Dice, and 500 attack, 1200 defense, and of course a Warrior type monster, 3 stars, and Earth attribute. Then, Battle Warrior, also a very weak monster, 3 stars, Earth attribute, and a Warrior type monster, 700 attack and 1000 defense. That was one of the problems Joey Wheeler had in his deck. Very many monsters, but still the stats of some of them were very weak. I mean, like, under 1500 you shouldn't bring up any monsters, after my opinion, or just in case if they have a cunning effect like Time Wizard, or good defense stats like Winged Warrior. Where is it? I don't see it there. Winged Guard. Yeah. Then give it the Iron Knight, 1800 attack, 1600 defense, Warrior type monster. and an earth attribute with 4 stars, one of his very, 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 very iconic monsters as well, which he will be using in other arcs too, like Jinzo and Flame Swordsman, of course, and some of the others like Time Wizard as well. Because he won't be using all of them in every arc. Red Eyes Black Dragon, of course, is another one of those. Parasite, guys, a card which Weevil brought onto his deck, and he kept it then because it has a very crafty effect with, of course, Earth attribute 2 stars, and Insect. What would you expect from a Weevil Underwood card, which he smuggled into his deck? 500 attack and 300 defense. It's of course an effect that if you you attack it face down, some flip effect, then you shuffle it face up on to your opponent's deck. And the TCG is you have to combine it with Drill Bug, and then it's brought up onto the field, and then your opponent takes 1000 damage, and all monsters controlled by later summon this card, but it become insect monsters. So if you have Insect Barrier in combination with this card in the deck, it would be very useful. 2 very iconic monster cards he had: Panther Warrior and Rocket Warrior, of course. Rocket Warrior, for example, 1500 attack, 1300 defense, who has, of course, the unattackable mode or something like that it's called, where it can, of course, I think, steal attack points from your opponent's monsters, I think. So let me look. During the battle phase, the damage that the gainer of, or the possessor of this card has is reduced to 0, and after that the attack stats of that monster that attacked this card is reduced to 500. So yeah, that's what I meant. Panther Warrior, 2000 attack, very strong monster for 4 stars with 4 stars Earth attribute, and of course here Light attribute, and of course 1600 defense. It's Beast Warrior, but it cannot attack unless you tribute 1 monster, so it has also a downside comparable, of course, to Insect Queen, but this one with 2000 attack, we will then have an execution at least. Then I put in there 2 cards which he had during a dream battle in his deck. I think was in between the arcs 1 or 2, but I counted it to Battle City, so I might say it wasn't there, which is M Warrior 1 and M Warrior 2. Of course, 1000 attack, has one M Warrior 1, 3 stars Earth attribute as Warrior type, and 500 defense. 1000 attack, 500 defense. M Warrior 2 has also 3 stars, the same amount of stars, and also the attribute and Warrior type, 500 attack and 1000 defense, so the other way around. And then finally, a card which I lacked very, very long time, so it is you can take this you can take this character deck profile also as an update, since I hadn't had this card in a very long time until now. So yeah, I put in there a card which he, of course, used, namely Garuzis. 5 stars, 1800 attack, 1500 defense. It's a Beast Warrior type and fire attribute. Yeah, it's like that, but 1800 of attack and 5 stars are rather weak. Hero of the East, a card which he had also in the dream sequence. Take into battle, 3 stars, Earth attribute, Warrior type monster, 1100 attack and 1000 defense. A card which he was also possessed. I think it might just had shown in his hand, but I'm not sure about that one. Which is Copycat, also a good trump card. With its light attribute, 1 star only, 0 attack, 0 defense, but in fact it's very iconic because it gains the attack stats from an opponent's monster. as well as the defense stats of an opponent's open face-up monster. Now, I have to look up maybe to make a little bit more space for another monster card. There are not that many left, but still we have to make another room for Giltia, the Dragon Knight Spear mode. I put it in there because we have Giltia Dragon Knight also as a fusion, but we do not have the fusion materials in this deck, so I put also the newer version from the TCG in there with 5 stars, light attribute. It's a cause and water type monster, and it has a good 1850 attack, 1500 defense. Its effect goes like this. If you don't control any monsters, you can normal summon this monster without giving a tribute. If this card is normal summoned, you can banish one monster which your opponent controls, and its attack higher or lower than this card. Also, you have the possibility to take the effect, discard one card, and then to take one of the following monsters from your deck to your hand. One dark attribute dragon type monster with 7 stars. Of course, it's in reference to Red Eyes Black Dragon. One dark machine type monster with level 6. It's in reference to Jinzo, and one water type warrior with 5 stars. It's in reference to Legendary Fisherman, and of course in once per turn effect. So this is his lineup of monsters, and it's more than enough. I think you even in the playability for at least the gold format, this deck would be useful if you put out some monsters like vanilla monsters, especially maybe like, I don't know, Garuz's Hero of the East, M-Warrior 1 and 2. I would remove those, maybe remove also those two, Swordman of Landstar and Battle Warrior, and then you would have a very compact, good attack mode offensive deck. But yeah, it's just like this, and then we're coming now to the spell cards. Without further ado, and it's of course my anniversary of this channel, so I'm very pleasured and very joyful, and so I even if I hadn't that much of time and nerves to make this deck profile today or tonight, rather to say, I made it for you in order to celebrate with you guys my anniversary of this channel, which was of course originally 2 days ago, but as I was working, I did it now. Ghost Fan, the first spell card, which I think increases as an equipped spell card, increases the attack sets of wind type monsters by 400 points, and decreases its defense by 200 points. So yeah, it has also a downside, but he had it in his dream sequence. He played it out, so we have it. Roulette Spider, of course, on quick spell card, which you can use also on the opponent's battle phase. And you have to roll a 6-sided die, and accordingly to its result, then you can, for example, 1 half life points, 2 make the attack to a direct attack, 3 take a monster that you control, then you switch the target, and then you yeah, things like that. So it's very good cunning effect. Foolish Burial, a card which he plays out, for example, I have to go back to this one. This one is the very card which saves his duel and battle against Esperoba and makes him winning Jinzo. Foolish Burial, he plays out against Odeon Ishtar in order to special summon Jinzo from his graveyard. Dragon Crawl, a card which I think might have been seen on his hand, or maybe he had it in his dream sequence, but it is a very cool card which originally was also in Rex Raptor card, Rex Raptor played it out as the first one in the Duelist Kingdom arc, which is an equipped spell card, and it's you can give the equipped monster a dark type monster with 600 attack. Additionally, it cannot be destroyed due to card effects of your opponent. And if this card is laid to the graveyard, you can, because the opponent's monster has been destroyed by battle and was brought onto the graveyard, can special summon the very monster. And if you do it, you can equip it with that, but banish it if it leaves the field, and it's a 1 per turn effect. Yeah. Then another of those, I will line up some of those equipped spell cards. We had a couple of them. So Lightning Blade, which of course works with warrior type monsters, and you can increase those monsters' attack by 800, but the decreased in the Attica of all 5 water type monsters by 500. So it wouldn't be working good with Legendary Fisherman, who of course also is a water type, but in water type as well, or a water attribute as well. Then of course Sword of Legend, which also works with water type monsters and increases its attack as well, defense stats by 300. A very good defensive option, Scapegoat. I used it very, 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 very often against my opponent, which was my best friend Richard. Richard, back in the old days, we were dueling, and I always had the Scapegoats, and he was the first one who played it out, as I even didn't know that Joey Wheeler had this one. The 4 Scapegoats, a very good defense measure, also of course in order to stall, to bring up better cards. Giant Trunade, of course, brings you these all spell and trap cards from the field to the hand. Shield and Sword, of course, a possibility to switch the attack and defense stats of all face-up monsters on the field. Polymerization, of course, we have some fusion monsters in there, so you put, for example, Baby Dragon Alligator Sword to, I think, a Baby Dragon Sword is it called, or Alligator Baby Dragon Sword, something like that. In order to fusion summon it. Question, a very iconic card. Now this card he played out against Yamimarik in order to bring Jinzo back from the graveyard to special summon it, because Jinzo had Yamimarik had to guess, it works like that, which was the first monster that he destroyed, but he did not see it because it was a monster card which was brought into the graveyard to the effect from Hell Puma, which after all of the opponent's battle phases discards 1 card randomly, and he didn't see it, so he couldn't guess it. And Monster Reborn, of course, iconic special summon Precaution. Of course, Graceful Dice. There you have it, beneath it, so to say. You roll 6-sided dice, and of course, to the amount of attack of numbers that you get, then per 100 you can then increase the attack of one of your monsters. Pot of Greed, of course, for more drawing power. Salamandra for Flame Swordsman in order to increase its attack stats by 700 points. Raigeki, a card which it's not a Joey Wheeler card, but Marek, the bad one, did smuggle it to his deck, so we use it, of course. We might say he keep it also, as well as Meteor of Destruction. A burn damage card, which is very untypical for Joey Wheeler card, which of course puts 1,000 points of damage to your opponent. Now, these were his spell cards. Now we're going very, very fast to his trap cards. Joey Wheeler is not that typical trap card player, but he had some of them, which were also very risky, not only due to the fact that they are working with 6-sided dice like this one. You can't say that again because that's very iconic. Skull dice is the first one. As this one rolls a 6-sided dice, then you have also do that with this one, but this decreases then the attack stats of the opponent. This increases attack stats of your own monsters. So there we go, the first trap card. Magical Arm Sheet, which of course switch the attack of your opponent to another target, but also you can then pick one of his monsters and then take the attack onto that monster, I think. Yeah, you can control it onto the end phase. Yeah, there we go. Kunai with Jane, also very iconic. He used it, I think, again in the battle against Mako Tsunami, which blocks the attack of your opponent's monsters, and then switch it into the defense position posture. Yeah, it gets into the defense position, and then you can take one of your monsters and increase its attack points by 500. Yeah, you can pick one of these effects. Then Fairy Box, also very iconic, also working with the working with a coin. Like I mentioned earlier, he has always these a little bit risky trap cards like Skull Dice and of course Fairy Box as well. These two are more secure, but yeah, this one also works with coin, and if you say the result right, then you reduce the attack of the attacking monster, all of the monsters, to 0, and you have to pay 500 life points because it's a permanent trap card in each of your standby phases, otherwise this card is destroyed. Grave Robber, one of his very, very iconic cards as well, and coming in handy very often. Yeah. For again, the 4 against 4 just battle against each other to determine the semi-final matchups. You can of course rob one of the spell cards of your opponent's graveyard, then take it as your own spell card, but you have to pay 2000 life points for it. I used this card so often in my duels, and it did risk my butt so often, and even turned around the tides so that I had the last laugh at the end of many battles, as well as Joey Wheeler. So I love this card to this day. I don't love to rob, but it's a very cheeky little sneaky dwarf. Now, then we of course have another one of those cards. He loves to gamble. He loves to really to gamble, and this card is called Gamble. You have to toss a coin, and due to its results, but also onto the condition that you have the amount of cards on the hand of my opponent are 6 or more, and I have 2 or fewer, then I can toss a coin, and then if I call it right, I can draw until I get 5 cards. But if I do not say it right, then yeah, I have to skip my next turn. So it's a very risky one, can cost you the whole game. Nurture Set, of course, a card which if your opponent puts more than I think 2000 damage on you or more, then you can increase your life points by 4000. That's a very handy card as well. Energy Drain, a card which he had as a spell card, I think, but we in the TCG it just exists as a trap card in comparable form, which works like that. Select one face-up monster on your side to increase the attack and defense of the monster by an amount equal to the number of cards in your opponent's hand per 200 points until the end phase. And last but not least, I have Thorn Trap Hole, or Spike Trap Hole as it is called, which if a monster of your opponent, which is normal or special summon onto the field on this turn, attacks, then you destroy it, and if you do it, then you're putting damage into him, equal to the half of the attack of the monster. Now we have the monster cards with the spell cards and the trap cards. This was almost, because we have also fusion monsters in this deck. And the fusion monsters which we have, of course, very iconic, is the Flame Swordsman, but we cannot fusion it because we don't have the Flame Manipulator and the Masaki Legendary Swordsman into this deck. But we, just show it like that. Of course, I have the other Flame Swordsman, the newer version of the TCG I put in there, like you also saw, and I have Giltia Dragon Spear into that, but he had Giltia the Knight, which he put without a fusion onto the field, like this one. So yeah. Also, the fusion type monster, Protector of the Throne and Guardian of the Labyrinth, he did never possess into his deck. But two fusion monsters, which we have the possibility to summon, and he also summoned them, fusion summoned them. With one of it is Thousand Dragon, Baby Dragon, in combination, of course, with Time Wizard. But you have to fusion summon with Polymerization, and in anime it was working like that. If you toss the coin right, then we get Thousand Dragon to the effect of Time Wizard. Then Alligator Sword Dragon, which of course, as you might see onto the picture, is a combination of fusion from Alligator Sword and Baby Dragon. The stats of those are, okay, I would say. Of course, these two are a little bit weaker, but the weakest is this one even. And this one has even an effect. I didn't realize that until now, to be honest. But Thousand Dragon, 2,400 attack, 2,000 defense, a card which very often give Joey Wheeler the edge on to the game, or turn the tides maybe even. 2,000 legendary flame swordsman, 1,800 attack, 1,600 defense. Giltia Knight, 1,850 attack and 1,500 defense. Of course, this is a fire type, fire attribute, light attribute, and wind attribute. And this one, I get a sword dragon, also is a wind attribute, 5 stars, 1,700 attack and 1,500 defense, 1,500 defense, and it has the effect if this card can attack your opponent directly if the only monsters which he controls are earth, water, or fire attribute. So for example, against a fire deck or an water Umi control deck, for example, or maybe an earth attribute deck, it's very useful. Yeah, this one has, I think, 7 stars, this one 5 stars, and this one also 5 stars, and this one also. Yeah. So this is it. This was my character deck profile from Joey Wheeler onto the Battle City era. I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, give me some love, give me comments on what you think about the character in general, as of his deck especially. And of course, celebrate with me. This is my channel's birthday. Like I said, it was 2 days ago actually, but yeah, didn't have the time to do it, so we do it now together. And I will be doing now an opening also on to this occasion, and then I think I'm gonna hit the sack after that. This was then this, and good day, good evening, good afternoon, or whenever you watch it. You're Slifer Maniac. Bye!